We made it through the 100-mile wilderness. It's been a couple months since I've been home, but it's taken me this long to get through all the video footage and get all the videos finally edited, and they're all released. So hopefully y'all enjoy watching our adventure through the 100-mile wilderness and summiting Katahdin. So I want to do a video, just a gear video, talking about what worked, what didn't, maybe some things I would change, which I really don't think there was that much I would change, honestly, because everything I took pretty much worked out like as good as I could have ever expected the gear to work. This is my sleep setup. So the hammock gear, tarp with doors. I've got a full gear video about this tarp. It did fantastic. The first night we were in the rain. It rained most of the night. I had to set it up in the rain. Fantastic. Kept me dry. The hammock and everything stayed dry underneath. I even had room, once I set up my hammock, to actually set up my cook system and to cook, like, you know, so I could stay dry and cook and enjoy dinner. This is my dream hammock, Sparrow. It's a 10-foot hammock. I can't remember the width, but it does have the bug net, and it has the gear storage thing. And I'll do a separate gear video on this as well, because I've really enjoyed this hammock. It's super comfortable. Love it. So much better than sleeping on the ground, guys. Maine has a lot of roots and rocks, and I was kind of worried that I wouldn't be able to find places to set up, or I'd be set up way away from my friends. But for the most part, my friends actually slept in the shelters, so, you know, I was able to pretty much like find, you know, space either near the shelter or back down by the stream or whatever, you know. So it's really nice just not having to sleep on the ground. I hate sleeping on the ground. Yeah, I love my hammock setup. In that, I've got the Eno. I about left these on a tree the last night as we were packing up from Rainbow Lake Dam. I had left my tree straps. I just happened to be coming back by from the bathroom break before I went on, you know, continue down the trail, and I happened to look, and I'm like, wait, that's my straps. So anyway, these did great, super easy. I mean, right now they're a tangled mess, but they're lightweight, they work. I have no complaints about those at all. The pillow, honestly, I wouldn't take a pillow. That'd be the one thing I would change. Just in a hammock, you really don't need it. So because it stayed in the bottom of my pack, so it was just dead weight I was carrying around for no reason. So this is one of the newer purchases I did this year, was to get a lighter weight kind of summer, late spring, early fall bag, or, you know, quilt. So this is by Cedar Ridge Outdoor. It's got the cinched foot box and black interior. I think this is the ocean something or other. I'll put whatever the print is, but yeah, I love this bag. Love the quilt. I absolutely love this thing. It did great. The 1 or 2 nights it was chilly, I did actually like button it, because it does fasten, and it's got the draft collar, and that does work really, really well. And it's wider than my hammock gear top quilt, so I was actually able to like wrap it around me, or like if I tossed and turned throughout the night, you know, it wouldn't expose my back to air, so it was just really nice. But like I say, all the critical stuff, I literally, I mean, this Cedar Ridge Outdoor quilt, I adore. Because even with my pad underinflated, the only part of me that was cold, and it was in the 30s, was the part of me that was touching the pad. Everything else on me was warm. So, like, you know, the quilt was doing its job. It was keeping me plenty warm. It was just my own fault for underinflating the pad. Love that top quilt. And I did use that at Katahdin Stream as well. Because I was initially going to take my sleeping bag. I was like, oh, I'll just take my quilt. No. Sleeping bag is, for me, if I'm sleeping on the ground, I have to have a sleeping bag. But yeah, I mean, it kept me warm. Because, I mean, the lows were probably in the 30s. And this is a 30-degree bag. And like, the bag itself kept me warm. I just think I underinflated my sleeping pad. But we'll go through that when I get to the sleeping pad. Underquilt wise, I did bring my 0-degree underquilt by Hammock Gear. I don't remember the size on this, but this is the premium. It's not their econ line. Did great. I didn't get any drafts. I didn't feel any cold air. Fantastic. I really can't say enough good things about that quilt. It's good. So yeah, that's all my sleep system. So like I say, about the only thing I would change would be just to not take a pillow. But I'll go ahead and do the electronics. So, the battery banks. Did great. I ended up using all 4. I mean, I was down to this one, and this is small, and this is only 15. These 3 are 20,000 each. And this one was down, I think, to like the last or like halfway used. And I only used it to charge the GoPro. So there's a story behind this. So my phone ended up getting turned into a $1,000 paperweight. I had the iPhone 13 Pro. And yeah, so some things happened. It got wet, and it worked fine that evening, when I got it wet earlier that afternoon. But then the next day we were sitting at lunch, and I was trying to message my husband and family, let them know I was okay. And just all of a sudden it went to a white screen. And of course, you know, if you've watched the videos, then you know it went to a white screen of death. It never recovered. I got home, took it to the store, and they were like, no, it's fried. So unfortunately, I lost all my pictures. I had no pictures of my own from the trip. But honestly, it worked out fine, because then I was able to use the battery banks just for charging, making sure I could keep up with the videos and stuff and have enough charge for the GoPro, because the GoPro likes to eat batteries. That's my complaint about the GoPro. So anyway, so I ended up not having to charge my phone. But when I lost my phone, I also lost my way to send custom messages to my family, you know, with the Zelio, because I use the Zelio app a lot to send my family messages when I'm out on the trail. So I was just hitting the little check mark. So I had no clue if they were actually getting them or not, because I didn't have, like I didn't really have a way of contacting them. Occasionally, like I think once or twice during the trip, I called using my friends' phones and just saying, hey, I'm still alive. But they said they were getting the messages. So at least that does work. You just make sure you have it set up. Because like I say, if you don't have that set up, then you know you would be carrying around dead weight. Other than just having the SOS capability. But I didn't have any problems with that. That lasted, I think I might have had to charge this once in 10 days. So it's really good with battery life. It doesn't, you know, it's great. I have no complaints. All the cables held up. I didn't have any problems with like the cables breaking and stuff. Everything worked. Of course, the dual GoPro charger for that. Love this for being able to keep track of like my SD cards as they filled, because I'd put them in this side and like empty ones are on this side, and so this is fantastic for keeping track of batteries, especially when you use as many as I do. On that note, these GoPro batteries, the ones with the blue, even though they do last longer, they're terrible. because I had 2 of these go out on me on the trail, where, like, I guess because Maine's really moist and damp, you know, air up there. I mean, even here in the southeast, there's a lot of, like, moisture in the air. And it wasn't like these got submerged. So it was just, I guess, the air, humidity. And so, like, these things would swell and almost get stuck in the back of the GoPro battery bay. And, like, I don't know if you can actually see, but, like, this part right here, this little thin part, when it swells up and you go to pull the tab to pull it out of the battery port, it breaks off. So then you're trying to pry this battery with nothing to really grab onto out of your battery port. Fortunately, because I noticed, like, it would kind of start acting up when I would be filming, and I'm like, oh, something's going wrong. And I could feel heat building up in the GoPro. So I was like, I need to check that battery. And sure enough, that battery had swelled. Now, I did not have the swelling problem with these. These did fine. Had no problem. They just don't last as long. You know, when you're filming and stuff. These last longer, but then I lost 2 of them. They're just completely shot. Like, one of them, the back came off. The other one just swelled, and so I know it's shot. So yeah, just super annoying when you're relying on having battery power to film. So that, I don't know if that's a design flaw by GoPro. If anybody else using the GoPro 8, or even any GoPro that uses these blue batteries, if y'all have had a similar problem, because you know, for as much as you pay, I think each battery was like $20. So, and I bought like 2 or 3 of the blue ones, and I lost 2 of the 3. So, and I don't know if those were the new ones I bought or the older ones I had. For some reason, I'm thinking it's the newer ones. But it is what it is. Anyway, and of course, all that was kept in this Hilltop Packs electronics bag. And I also kept, so I kept all the charge cables and I think, oh, and my headlamp. Where's my headlamp? Oh, and here's my headlamp. Love this thing as well. Highly, highly recommend this. This is the NU25. I ordered it from Lightsmith to get this headband. I know some people, you know, kind of laugh and scoff at getting the headband, but honestly, I didn't do it to save weight so much as it was just, this headband is super comfortable. And I don't know, I just think it looks better than the wideband. But it's more comfortable. I love it. And I even got my mom one. She likes it. Her complaint, it wasn't during the 100-mile wilderness, obviously, but it was on our last trip. She had a little bit of problem, like, hitting the buttons. So, but, I mean, even she was like, you know, it's not really that big of a deal. So, anyway, so that is all my electronics, pretty much. When I stayed at Katahdin Stream, I took 1 battery bank and the electric pump. So yeah, and the Zoleo and the headlamp, you know, just pretty much everything except, you know, I just left 3 of those behind. So anyway, so that's all the electronic stuff, I believe. Setup. I don't know what you want to call it. Anyway, so obviously all my food fit in this Hilltop Packs bear bag, food bag, whatever. Yeah, like I said, I have no complaints about any of my bags. They all work. They do what they need to do. I like having the carabiner. It just gives me extra hanging functionality. Plus, too, like, I like that you can slide this and it locks it. So, I feel like that might be more bear proof, like when you actually hang it, because you know, it can't just be knocked off. I don't know. That's just my personal opinion. Anyway, so I used a couple of these odor-proof oat sacks. I used the big one for my meals and the little one for like my snacks. No problems at all. I did notice, however, when I got home that, and I don't know when this happened, how this happened, but my bear bag got a hole in it. And I mean, this is the heavier duty material. It's not the thinner Dyneema. So I don't really know, because there's a couple. It looks like there's one, and that's the only holes, like wear and tear, that I've noticed in this bag so far. And I mean, I've used this bag a ton in the past year or two, ever since I've had it. So highly recommend Hilltop Pack Sacks. Alright, so this titanium polished bowl spoon, it's a favorite. I just got my mom one. You can see I get stuff and I'm like, oh, this is really nice. I want to get my mom one. So yeah, like that one. It's just so much better than eating off the Sea to Summit. I will say, I'll show y'all, because my mom has been using the Sea to Summit. I don't know if it's titanium or if it's the hard anodized. I think it's the anodized. Anyway, I don't know if you can actually see that or not. So you can see like it's starting to like where the finish is wearing off. I don't know if that's normal, but I don't really trust that. So yeah, I mean, this, like, so I've had this forever. I mean, not forever. I've had it probably 3 or 4 years. But I've not used it a ton. It still looked almost new when my mom started using it. So if any of y'all have had this Sea to Summit long handled spoon and had the finish come off, let me know if y'all think that's safe to use or not. I'm leaning towards no. I mean, it's not a big deal because I got my mom one of these, but just something to keep in mind. Because I don't think the price difference is that much, and if I had to pick between, because I mean the length is the same, so if I had to pick, I'd always pick this one. Because I mean, you can see like some wear and tear on the titanium finish, but I mean, this is all I've been using this year, and it still looks practically new. And this, I don't know. But anyway, the GSI mug, I used it every night, every morning, for my coffee, for my hot chocolate. Did really, really well. The only complaint I have is that when you unscrew the lid, and I'm assuming this is just when like liquid gets caught in this, and then you put it back on and then you unscrew it. Sometimes like it starts running down, just like little remnants. So I mean, I kept it wiped down and stuff, so it wasn't like a big deal, but that's just, it kind of annoyed me. Because sometimes it does it and sometimes it don't. And I don't know like really what triggers it. But it's the best thermos I've got to enjoy my hot chocolate and coffee and stuff. So, and I like that it seals off. Because sometimes like I would have my bear bag packed up, and then I would just clip this in the carabiner and just hang it on the outside of my food bag. I didn't have a problem. I don't know if that's safe, but I mean, it fit, especially since I had to fit mine and Sally's food in there, and sometimes that was hard, especially like the first and second day after resupply, because that was a lot of food to stick in one bag. But I mean, it all worked out well. Fuel wise, I think we might have went through a can and a half, maybe. I really don't even know if we went through a can. So I really have no idea. Because I think what we were doing is like at each resupply, we would just dump our used cans and get a resupply can. So that way, we wouldn't dump them as far as throwing them out. But our resupply guy had like a thing like where you could look and see what other people left behind, kind of like a goodie box, you know, or whatever. So figured, you know, if anybody needed fuel, they could pick it up or whatever. The Snow Peak stove did good. I had no problems with that. I mean, it's a stove. It works. You know, I like that these things come out, so it gives you a little bit wider base, especially for when you're using a big pot like this. The pot did fantastic. I absolutely love being able to boil water, either, you know, when me and my friend were doing dinners at the same time, then we could boil the water for both our meals at the same time. And the same thing for our hot chocolate. Or if we were cooking separately, then we could just take turns and we could boil water for our meal and hot chocolate at one go. So if you do, you know, like a drink and a dinner, I highly recommend using a bigger pot. As much as I love my little pot that I've got, my toques, I really like the bigger pot. Even though I don't like the space it takes up, I like the bigger pot. Water filtration, this worked fantastic. I love the direct hookup into my hydration bladder. You know, so I would just unclip this part to my hose and then connect this end in. And of course, I've got the 3-liter Osprey hydraulics, and this is the one with like the supportive back on it. I actually do like that a lot better. No leaking, not much of any problem. I don't know. And then I've got another one of these Night Eyes carabiners. I clipped this to the inside frame on Mariposa, just to keep everything, like, to kind of keep it from like sliding down in there, especially like when I'm trying to, you know, pack my pack. It just made it a lot easier, you know, with it being suspended. Pack wise, this pack liner, I know I think I said it in the first video, in the first day, rain all day, worked great. I mean, the rain cover, I mean, I think it probably worked for a little while, and then it's just too much rain and it got soaked. So my whole pack was soaked the first day. I almost feel like I could probably have wrung out that Mariposa. I mean, like, you could feel the moisture in it. Anyway, so even with all the rain, all the moisture exposure, when I took this out of my pack, because this is what had all my critical clothing, all that stuff in this bag, everything was dry. Everything. And I mean, there was water almost standing in the bottom of this pack. And it, you know, there was no water at all in this thing. So my quills, everything was dry, which was fantastic. My friend who got washed downstream a little bit, she didn't have a pack liner, and she had the Hyperlight pack, but all of her stuff got wet. Her sleeping bag, her clothes. So, you know, I'll show y'all in a minute. But I had an extra shirt I was able to loan her so she'd actually be warm. So yeah, highly recommend. This is by 6 Moon Designs. And I use that. And it fits in pretty much any pack I brought. So it fit in the Gossamer Gear Kumo. It fit in the Mariposa. I've used it in my Long Haul 50 over there. So, I mean, it just works. Pack-wise, I cannot say enough good things about this Mariposa. Even though I kind of complain about the fabric. But, in all honesty, it's not a make or break thing with me because I've got that pack liner. I don't care. Because the pockets on this. I love all these pockets. I mean, I love them. I love this tall pocket on the side. I love the 2 pockets on this side. The big mesh pocket on the back. I mean, it just works, guys. Because like I kept my tarp pretty much on the outside in this pocket. This side would be like my daytime electronics and map and stuff like that, where I could like reach back like behind and just grab it real quick. And then in this top pocket I would keep like my snacks and stuff like that. I mean, it just, and my Be-Free. I think that's where I kept that. And in this outside mesh pocket, that's where I kept like my rain jacket, my toilet, like my toilet paper, you know, all that fun stuff. I mean, it all stayed dry. I didn't have any problems. You know, the hip belt pockets are nice sized. It fits my battery bag over there, and Kleenexes and stuff like that. Obviously, they're not waterproof, so if it's raining, I just kind of moved everything into my rain jacket just to keep it a little bit drier. But yeah, and it handled loads really well. I mean, you can see it's really well padded. And I love this zipper pocket. So that's where I would keep like my wallet, keys, anything I needed, like to keep where I knew I wouldn't be getting in and out of it. You know, because typically on any kind of trip, I never get in that pocket. So that's a safe place for me to leave keys, wallet, you know, because I know there's not a chance of me opening it and like it falling out. So, and I mean, yeah, I really like this pack. I love the way it sits and everything. Yeah, I had no rubbing, I had no chafing. Even like along the hips, shoulders, I didn't have any rubbing. Sometimes even with my long haul over there, the way it sits closer into my collarbone, sometimes I do get chafing, or like I'll get chafing on the back of my shoulder blade, especially if I'm wearing like any kind of tank top. But highly recommend the Mariposa. For reference, I'm 5'4", medium build, and I think my torso length's around 15, something like that, and it fits me fine, no problems, even when I was carrying upwards about 33-34 pounds. For going into Katahdin Stream and summoning Katahdin, this is the pack I used, the Kumo 36. Since we didn't have to carry a shelter or anything, it was just like our quilt, you know, sleeping pad, cook system, and snacks for the next day. Just everything fit. You know, it's got these nice pockets on the outside. I mean, it's like its big brother over here, or big sister. You know, it's got the pocket, all the pockets. And one thing I wish the Mariposa had that this has, but that don't, is these chest pockets. I love these chest pockets on this Kumo 36 because it's a perfect place to store my gum, Kleenexes, and then like a lot of times I'll put my GoPro down in here when I'm hiking, and it's just a very comfortable bag. And then it's got the mesh pockets here. So again, super comfortable bag. It fits what I need for overnights. Very comfortable. It's got the same nice zip pocket there. If somebody that's familiar with these bags, what are these loops for? I really don't know. I don't know if I'm supposed to like run shock cord through those. That's, you know, I'm just not sure really what I'm supposed to do with it. But anyway, I mean, it's a fantastic bag. I really like Gossamer gear stuff. I forgot to throw this in with my sleep system, but so I've got these. So, as you can see, I've got a ton load of these Vargo titanium shepherd hook stakes. I love these stakes. Favorite stakes, hands down. I do not have a problem with them. Now you can see there's one. It's kind of looking a little bent there. It's just well loved and used. But I mean, it still works. It still holds. I just, they're easy to use. Yeah. The MSR groundhog steaks. I think these are the mini ones. I mean, they work good. I don't like them as much as these. I think, honestly, they feel lighter than those, but I just don't particularly care for them. That's just how I feel. But anyway, they just stayed in this Ziploc bag. I don't think I lost any steaks. But, you know, I've got 8 tie-outs on my tarp. Because there's four on the corners, and then you got the 2 pull-outs on each side. And most of the time when I set up my tarp, I'll set it up with everything staked out. On to bath stuff. Oh, well, I guess this is kind of, I don't know where this fits in, but in the video, but this is the bigger one, and I love this thing. This was fantastic to just pull out of my side pocket and just throw down to, you know, if we sat down to have a snack break, or if I felt like kind of laying out in the sun for a little bit, I used it, you know. And plus, too, that came in handy the first night because I was able to just lay down, or not lay down, but sit on this under my tarp and cook dinner and not have to sit in the mud or the dirt. The little one, honestly, I'm trying to remember if I actually even used this. I might have used it the first night, but anyway, so yeah, I don't think I actually used this any other point along the trip. So if I was to do the trip again, I honestly don't think I would take the little one. I would just take the big one. I mean, neither one of them weigh that much, so it's not like a weight savings. It's just, you know, you're just carrying dead weight. Bath kit wise, everything worked. I was glad I had this bug away stuff by, I can't remember who this is by. I'll put the link in the video if you like this sort of thing. It is an essential oil bug stuff, because I don't really want to wear chemicals or like permethrin or anything like that on my skin or on my clothes. I don't know. I just don't like that idea. So I like stuff more natural, and that worked. I just wish I had applied it before the bugs ate me alive, but I didn't know I was getting eaten as bad as I was. The Vaseline was good. I use that a lot. And plus, I really don't use chapstick. I typically just use Vaseline on my lips to prevent chafing or chapping. Chapped. To prevent chapped lips, I use Vaseline. The lighters worked really good. I never actually had to use the backup one, and the knife, of course, works. These little containers for medications and stuff work fantastic. I got these at CVS. They weigh next to nothing. You know, just good stuff. Hand sanitizer. The wipes came in really handy. And the toothbrushes. You're in the wilderness. Hairbrush. I really like brushing my hair in the evenings or in the morning starting out. That was kind of nice just to kind of get freshened up in the morning. Oh, and a really good tip, especially if you've sweated and stuff and it's like the next day or whatever, just whenever you want like a nice like facial wipe, take one of these Wissy wipes, and after if you boiled extra water like with your meal or breakfast or whatever, dip it in that, and it gets like kind of, you know, it's nice and hot and warm or whatever, and it just makes a really good facial wipe. So yeah, it was fantastic in the mornings and stuff, just to kind of get freshened back up. This thing, you know, I mean, it's like my Hilltop Packs thing. It's DCF. It's great for keeping all my bath stuff separate. I'm still carrying the doggy bag, rubber band. So yeah, now I'll show y'all my clothes. Alright, so clothing wise, I did not change. I am not one to change clothes during a hike or backpacking trip. I honestly thought I would, since this was such a long backpack. This is like the longest one I'd done. So I thought maybe I would change clothes. I didn't change clothes. I never felt the need to. So, I mean, maybe just a reflection of myself. You know, you do what works for you. So I just had basic underwear. I'm not going to go into that, but it was just a sports bra from Target, and I have no clue where I got the underwear from, but they, you know, I had no problems with like rubbing or chafing or anything like that anywhere. So on top of all that, this REI tank top I took because I was kind of worried about chafing on the back of my shoulders, because this is a little bit wider, so it's not like a razorback where it cuts in. So it kind of gave just more protection to my shoulders and stuff. It did really good. I don't really have any complaints. It was comfortable. It seemed to dry pretty quick. Yeah, so it was comfortable. You know, it worked. The shorts. Love these Nike shorts. These are the Tempo Luxe 2-in-1. This is the current version that they are selling. Because my pair that the two pairs I've had probably for the past 3 years, I have already, like, I've about worn them out. So I bought this pair to hike in the 100-mile wilderness because I didn't want to risk developing holes in the area where, you know, it protects, you know, because it's got the built-in shorts, so that kind of helps protect my thighs and stuff from chafing, and did fantastic. I had no chafing at all. It was fantastic. Love these shorts. They dried. I mean, I was in river crossings, they got soaked, they dried out. They've got pockets. So there's a pocket here on the side, and I think there's a pocket, yeah, on this side, and then there's also a pocket. There's another pocket somewhere. Yeah. That's kind of useless, but for home it's actually okay, because I can put my house key or something down in there and not lose it, but it zips. Like I say, that first day when everything got wet, you know, we were going through those big crossings, you know, I mean, these shorts got soaked. Got to camp. I did not take these off. Did not take them off. I just put on my Avalanche outdoor fleece tights leggings over them. And by the next day, they were pretty much dry. So Nike does a fantastic short. Highly recommend. And they even have like a thing where you can, you know, tie it and, you know, really make sure they don't fall down. But I didn't have a problem with them falling down. That is a size medium. These are medium as well. These are the, like I say, these are the Avalanche Outdoor Supply. I've had these for years, but they work super fantastic. They've got this fleece on the inside. They kept me warm when I did sleep, you know, throw them on at night. Plus it kind of helped keep the bugs from biting the junk out of my legs. And I don't know, it just helped me relax around camp, just having the leggings on. So yeah, I use them a lot. I've about worn those out. Probably need to get some more. This, and I bought this at Marshall's, and I bought this at Marshall's. So if you're looking for decent like outdoor gear, you know, like especially like synthetic tops, go to Marshall's, because like these are like, you know, anywhere from like $12 to $16, $17. Like I think I got these for $15 or $16. And anyway, this is I don't even know what brand this is. It's a Legend. I have no clue. Anyway, it's an extra large hoodie. I love this thing. I was actually wearing it earlier. I had to take it off so I could film it. But it's got the thumb holes. It's lightweight, but it's warm enough just to kind of keep like some warmth in. So like sitting around camp or like early mornings. It was just really nice. And it's funny. Well, not funny, but I'm grateful that when we left, or when we were packing up at the hotel that morning, I saw this and I'm like, you know what? I should probably pack that just to have, you know, extra just in case it's chilly, you know, that evening when we get to, you know, the 100-mile wilderness camp, you know, where we stayed the night before we got on the trail. And I was like, well, it'd be kind of nice just to have an extra long sleeve. I'm grateful I had this because I'd planned on using this at camp and just sleep in and stuff. Well, when my friend went downriver and all of her stuff got wet, I loaned her this for the rest of the trip. So she loved it. It's like the Melanzana. Everybody in the world thinks this is a Melanzana. It's not a Melanzana. It's a Lightheart gear. It's got the high neck, which I love. I'll probably do a full review of the Lightheart gear stuff because I've got 3 things of hers now and I love them all. But my friend loved it so much, she actually ordered her one when she got back home. But sad I didn't get to use it, but I'm grateful that I had extra to help my friend out. The REI boggin, love it. I mean, y'all saw, I pretty much stay in a boggin. Unless it got like super hot. I don't know. This is like, I think this has got wool in it. Yeah. So it's an acrylic wool blend. I love this thing. It dries out. It keeps my head warm without like overheating. It's just super comfortable. The sleep socks, I think I used one night. I think my feet are just really hot. And I just don't feel the need to wear camp socks. So probably that would be another thing I would probably dump unless it's just cold. It's just not, my feet need air. Speaking of feet, Injinji Toe Socks. Absolutely love these things. I wear them on a daily basis. I'm out literally at home. It just anywhere, anytime I'm wearing shoes, I wear Injinji socks. I mean, y'all saw, I had like 1 or 2 blisters, but it wasn't anything uncomfortable. It wasn't anything that caused me problems, and it lasted the trip. So, yeah. Love Injinji socks. Highly recommend. These are the original weight, I believe. The mid-weight for me, it's just too heavy and my feet just can't breathe. So yeah, highly recommend. The lightweight ones I like, but they wear out really quick. As do the wool blend Injinji socks. I actually really love those. They're super comfortable, but they do not last. They last even less than lightweight Injinji. So I'd highly recommend either original or mid-weight if it don't burn your feet up. So that's pretty much all the clothes I had in the 100-mile wilderness, other than my jackets. So jacket wise, I have this Arc'teryx. I think this is the Proton. I honestly have no clue. Proton FL hoodie. So I think it's a synthetic feel. It's got like a DWR coating on it. It was great. I wore it a lot, especially around camp, because sometimes like when this was still wet, I think on day 2, day 3, I was just wearing this over my tank top to sleep in, and it kept me plenty warm. I really like the hood, which is just this simple elastic. It stayed on my head along with my rain jacket. Now this is the other Lightheart gear piece that I had. This is by far, hands down, the best rain jacket I've ever had. It actually keeps you dry. It didn't wet out. Even in that soaking rain we had, it did not wet out. So the hood, the hood was really nice where you could like cinch it. Because it's got the cinch cords on both sides, so you could really cinch it down. And I think I actually did that when we were sewing Katahdin, because I had this on over this, and yeah. And it does have pockets, so it's got pockets on either side. It's also got pockets on the inside as well. So that's where I would move like my batteries and Kleenex and stuff like that to make sure they stayed dry. So yeah, highly recommend. It does have the pit zips, but in all honesty, I never found myself using those. So yeah. Oh, and I love this too, that when you zip up the jacket, you've got this flap that comes over and like velcros, and so it covers this zipper, so you don't have any risk of rain coming in through the zipper area. Like I say, I did not get wet in this jacket. It was great as a windbreaker going up Katahdin. Yeah, it's fantastic. This is a size large because I wanted room to be able to layer. I misspoke. This is a medium. But, I mean, it had room for layering because when I was doing Katahdin, like I said, I had this on over this, and this. So I had like 3 layers on under that, and they all fit with plenty of room. No big deal. Speaking of the outfit going up Katahdin, but I will say, these leggings by Athleta, fantastic. Going over all the rocks, it didn't get torn. It don't even look, there's just no wear. They didn't ride down. I didn't have to constantly pull them up and stuff like that. They're not lined, so they're not particularly warm. I mean, probably down in the 50s, you'd probably be okay, but if you actually want like warm pants, you probably have to layer over them or just invest in some different pants. But for going over the rocks, I knew I wanted to wear these pants because I honestly was afraid that if I wore the ones like my Avalanche, where it's just like this soft material, I was afraid it would get torn. So, like I say, did fantastic. It's got plenty of pockets, all that, which is great for like Kleenex, keeping my batteries on me so that way they wouldn't run down. I really like these. These are the Athleta hybrid something or other. I'll put it in the screen, just on the screen. But they did really good. These are size 10, I believe. Yeah. I mean, they seem to run pretty true to size. Probably just better safe just to go in and try them on. But really good deal if you get them on sale. This, it's my Tech Gear tank top. I had that on under this Tech Gear. I don't even know what this is made out of. It's just polyester, just a bunch of synthetic sweater. It's like a tunic. It did good. I mean, it's just not particularly warm. That's, like I say, that's something I probably should have, probably would do different. It just had like a warmer top. But it is what it is. It all worked. Obviously I survived, so. The only other thing is these synthetic, or not the synthetic, but down booties. I did not use these for my feet. I used them for the battery banks. And this did help. Because those were in the 40s. So that helped keep my battery banks from running down. I would use one of them to store the battery banks I hadn't used in my pack. And then whatever I was charging at night would go in the other one. And it would go like in my foot box. So that worked out fantastic. The only other, I think, piece of gear is that the Nemo tensor, which I think I've shown that in a video, but and this is not a reflection on this pad. This is a very comfortable pad. It's the older version of the Nemo tensor, and it's not insulated, but I got it underinflated, so I slept cold all night. I should have just got up and put some more air in it, but I didn't want to wake up everybody. So anyway, and of course, to blow up the pad, because I'm not one to waste my precious breath other than to make these videos, is this Flextail Tiny X Pump. Tiny Pump X, whatever you want to call it. It's fantastic. I'll leave the carabiner on it because sometimes I clip it to the ridgeline in my hammock for the light. Absolutely love this thing. Works fantastic. It does pump up, blow up the pads really well. Like I say, it's just my own fault for not getting enough air in it that night, but I think that's pretty much it. Oh, the only other thing I don't think I don't have anymore, but I had it in the gear video, was my camp shoes. And they were pretty much trashed by the end of the 100-mile wilderness. I recommend camp shoes. I'm not one for camp shoes. I rarely, if ever, bring them. But for the 100-mile wilderness, highly recommend, because where you're going through a lot of wet areas, and I don't know, it's just nice letting your feet air out at the end of the day, especially, doing that many days consecutively. It's just nice to get a break from your trail runners or whatever you're wearing. So yeah, they were pretty much trash. I mean, they were an old pair of flip-flops. It wasn't anything sentimental. It wasn't anything I paid a lot of money for. It's like $10 flip-flops from Kohl's. They did okay. Honestly, I'm looking at buying a different pair of like camp shoes. Something with maybe a heel strap to actually secure it, so that way it makes it a little easier just to walk around camp and stuff, or to go get water or whatever. So that might be something I actually invest in for future trips. The only other thing, oh, right here they are. I believe these are the Lone Peak 5s. I love these shoes. I know here lately a lot of people's been bashing Altra, and yeah, they don't last as long as some other shoes. Yeah, Lone Peak 5. But they got me through the wilderness without any hot spots, without much blistering. Decent tread. I didn't really feel like, I had any problems with slipping. Obviously, they're starting to look run down. But, yeah, I honestly didn't have a problem with them. They dried out reasonably well. The toe thing is good. Yeah, like I say, I mean, they're good shoes. I don't have a problem. So yeah, I think if I think of anything else, I'll have to add it later. But I mean, that's pretty much it. That's all my gear. Probably a thing I would add is an extra Ziploc bag to have stored my phone in, so that way when I fell in the stream crossing, my phone would have stayed dry. But other than that, I mean, I'm happy with all my gear. I really am. Like I say, I mean, even this works great. It's just I didn't use it because I already had the bigger one. And then, like I say, for staying in Katahdin Stream, I would probably have taken. I should have just stayed with my sleeping bag. And I'll do a review about the sleeping bag because I've got issues with it. But everything else. Oh, and Sally's stuff. We gotta review Sally's stuff. Alright, so here is Sally's things. So first up is her bowls. So these are the Sea to Summit collapsible bowls. They worked great. I didn't use the water bowl so much. That's pretty typical. Because usually she would just drink out of the stream or whatever. So the food bowl always got used. Did good. It don't take up a lot of space. It's pretty light. Of course, I kept her stinky kibble in this odor-proof sack. Didn't have a problem, you know, in it. I was able to seal it up enough, you know, like where even with the water crossings and stuff, no water got in the bag. So all of her food stayed dry and everything. Of course, this is her collar. It did good. Nothing, you know, everything about that stayed. You know, it never came off or anything. In this dry sack, this is what I kept her dog jacket, her blanket, and her tent in to keep it dry. And it didn't leak, not once. Everything stayed dry, so that worked out really well. The towel I never used. I think of all the backpacking trips, I've used this once. So honestly, I don't even know if I would bring that. It was always kind of nice to have just in case. So like it's a lot lighter and more packable than the metal, those coated metal ones. She also carried the bear spray. I had that in her pack. Didn't have to use it. Didn't even see any wildlife while we were there. So one of my favorite pieces of gear the whole trip is this tuck tent by Dutchware. It worked fantastic. It was great. It was a great place to store my pack, her pack. At night, you know, it kept it dry. Now it's a good place for her, you know, because a lot of times, like, she'd be wet where she went through, like, a stream crossing. And so it was just great. It worked out great. My stuff stayed dry and, you know, dog free, and it just works. It works so well. It's easy to set up. I hang it right off my suspension line. I'll probably do an in-depth review on this because it don't weigh that much and it packs down pretty small. The only thing I will say is occasionally, like when you're rolling it up, it tends to like to collect air. So it's a little tricky sometimes to roll up and to be able to fit it back in its little stuff sack. But fantastic piece of gear. You can backpack with dogs. Highly recommend it, especially if you're a hammock camper. Her little fleece jacket, I got it Petco, PetSmart, one of those places. It works really well for what it is. You know, because, like, you know, it's got the fleece lining. The only thing I don't care for is the Velcro doesn't seem to, like, want to, like, stay fastened. So a lot of times, like, when she has one of her shaking fits, she's able to shake the jacket off, or it'll, like, shift around, you know, like during the night or whatever. You know, like I said, I think, like, I would like this better if it had, like, buttons or some sort of better, like, fastener. But this is the blanket she slept on. I just kind of folded it in half just to give her a little bit of a soft place to lay. And, you know, like I say, she didn't seem to mind it. The rough wear pack did great. Unlike the cheap backpack that she had before, it didn't break. You know, it went, you know, it handled the stream crossings and all that, the rocks. I mean, obviously you can see it got some extra wear and tear. So, you know, I mean, it's still holding together. I mean, it's, you know. My only complaint about this is okay, so I'll go through the good first. Plenty of storage. And this bag comes with two little, like, water things. I don't know where they're at right now, but that was great for being able to carry extra water. For the most part, we didn't really need that in Maine, but I've needed that on other trips. So that works out really good. You know, the bags come off so she can just be in the harness. So anyway, so there's plenty of pockets. I typically don't use the individual little pockets. So like in one side will be her food, the other bag will be like her sleep system. and it fits her really well. You know, I mean, I don't really know what this is supposed to be for. I just don't know what that's. The only thing, my only complaint is putting it on. I wish that this side over here had a buckle, like this side. That way all I do is just slide this over her head and then just run it through and be able to fasten it on both sides. Because that's how her harness that we use on a daily basis works. And it's a lot easier to get on and off. So I'll show y'all, because it's kind of hard to explain. So here is our daily walk harness. So you see it's pretty similar, you know. You just stick her head through the hole, and then see this goes on the top. So, you know, this is on her underside. So it just comes up and clips, you know, on both sides. So I'm not having to pick up her paw to like run it through. So that's my only complaint about this bag. I know they just released another version, but it don't look like they changed that particular area. So yeah, I think this is it. The only other thing was this retractable leash. It wasn't this one, it was a different one. But it worked well. I didn't have any problems. Some of the ones that lock, so like, you know, if she was getting to the point where she was pulling a lot, I would just lock her out, and that way she couldn't pull, and after a while she would quit. Like I say, not a problem. I just run my hip belt through the handle, and yeah, don't really have a problem. I didn't use this on the backpacking portion, but I used this when we were like around town or in Acadia. Is this waist belt. I got this off Amazon. It's Mariposa, and I use this like on a daily basis on our walks so I can be hands-free. So I highly recommend this if you do walk with your dog a lot and you want to be hands-free. Works really good. I think it came with one of those like shock cord kind of fancy leash things, but I don't use that. I just always use her retractable leash. Anyway, so that is all of the dog gear. My favorite piece of gear of hers, Pup Tent by Dutchware. Fantastic piece of gear. And that is all the gear for our trip to Maine. So had fun. It was exhausting, as you can see. I was starting to get a little bit complaining and tired and stuff there toward the end, but it was a fantastic trip. It really was. So yeah, I mean, if y'all have any further questions about gear, about so yeah, I mean, all this stuff I'm learning as I go. Every year, every trip, I learn something new, or whatever. So and I'm a complete gear nerd. I love researching gear and everything. So like I say, I mean, if I can help y'all out, if y'all have questions, just let me know. Let me know how I can help. Anyway, we'll see y'all on our next adventure.